let me do an awkward segue. From terrorism, let's move to tourism.
Wow!
Medyo malabo. Medyo malabo yung segue.
Sige na, sige. Okay. Bibigyan ka na.
Sige na, let's bring in our guest tonight. Si Tourism Secretary Berna Romulo Puyat. Of course, because the tourism nga is the worst hit among the worst hit sectors because of this pandemic. Hi, ma'am. Secretary, good evening.
Hello, sir.
Hi, good evening.
안녕하세요. Ay,
안녕하세요.
Hi.
Aseyo.
Malaki ang mama.
Robbie and Mom, Sir Ed.
Hi, ma'am. Ma'am, of course, we all want to talk about Boracay, but before we dive into Boracay, can we paint first the big picture image of everything? Now that almost all the countries in GCQ, and hopefully things move forward from there, do we have to redo the numbers as to the impact of the pandemic on the tourism industry?
Well, first of all, to give the big picture, 12.7% of our GDP is tourism contributes 12% of our GDP. 5.4 million people are employed in the tourism sector. That is 13% of our total employment. When you look at the domestic tourism for 2018, 111 million traveled around the country. And for 2019, it was actually a record because for the first time, we reached 8.3 million tourists. The previous year, it was only 7.1 million. In fact, this January, we had an increase of 8.8% in terms of tourist arrival. So it was really a banner year. Everything was, and then COVID came along. So, as you've mentioned, tourism is really the hardest hit. Right now, the NCR is under GCQ. But a lot of our tourist spots are already under modified GCQ.
Yeah, MGCQ.
Which means, under modified GCQ, pwede na ang non-essential travel or tourism. For GCQ, hindi pa pwede. For example, here in NCR, we want to, for may cabin fever, we want to go to the tourist spots, hindi pa pwede because we are still under the GCQ. But for modified GCQ, pwede na. But still, even if they are under the modified GCQ, for the hotels, because people now are maybe hesitant to travel because of safety, they're worried that they might get COVID. So we have become stricter. Our accreditation, now it includes safety and hygiene, and it was approved by the Department of Health and the WHO. And it's according to international standards. So you cannot open your establishment, hotel, resort, etc., if you do not have a certificate to operate by the Department of Tourism. Of course, we have to be careful. But under modified GCQ, 50% pa lang rin. Hindi yung full capacity ang pwede na maraming turista. Kasi gusto natin unti-untiin. Unti-unti. And then, of course, importante ang right now, when you look at tourist spots, importante rin ngayon is if we talk to the local government units. Because though we look at the hotels, the resorts, they cannot operate without a certificate to operate from the DOT, with the LGU ang mag-i-implement. So they have to show us how they implement physical distancing, how they do contact tracing, how are their health protocols. And so far, it's been good. Like, for example, I'm looking at, for example, NCR, we are now under the MGCQ. Uunahin yan yung by land muna. Diba? So, unang top of mind, people are saying, gusto namin umakyat ng Baguio because that's the summer capital of the Philippines. I already spoke to Mayor Magalong. Oh, can I just say that he's such a fantastic mayor. In fact, he is when you talk about COVID, di ba nagka-zero COVID siya earlier on? Kasi ang galing ng ginawa niya sa Baguio. I asked him, what are your plans for tourism? He actually plans to open September pa. Kahit na under modified GCQ siya. Because gusto niya safe but sure. He wants to make sure that ililimit niya yung mga number of people na aakyat. Because hindi na daw pwede yung Baguio na punong-puno. Which actually makes it special because you know that this man really cares about the tourists. Gusto niya pag umakyat, hindi magkaka-outbreak. because of tourism. He told me that yes, their income comes from tourism, but all he cares about now is safety, which is very good for us. We've also talked to Governor Art Yap of Bohol. He's looking now at about July or maybe August for maybe domestic tourism. He wants to put up a lab to test RT-PCR lab because he wants everybody to enter na magta-test na COVID negative. Because so far now in Bohol, dalawa pa lang ang COVID positive, but yung na-quarantine na, they weren't the locals and na-quarantine agad. So you can say Bohol is has zero COVID. We're also looking at Palawan. Palawan naman, they're already preparing. Again, I noticed with the tourist spots, they're not really rushing because they want when the tourists finally come, yung alam na nila yung protocols, which I think is very good. Boracay naman, the Boracay Interagency Task Force was extended for another year. So that will be, the opening will be under the Boracay Interagency Task Force.
Okay.
Secretary, you were talking about Baguio imposing a carrying capacity. You were in fact planning to do that, diba, before the pandemic. Are you going to institutionalize this, at least in the major tourist destinations?
Yes,
Because of the pandemic.
Ma'am, we have to because hindi na pwede yung siksikan. Physical, while there is no vaccine, physical distancing is very important. So even with Baguio, I remember when we were talking to Mayor Magalong last January, he said, mahihirapan nga daw magkaroon ng carrying capacity. But now he said that with this COVID, wala pang vaccine, kailangan talaga i-limit yung number of tao na aakyat sa Baguio.
Ma'am, do we have an idea of ano yung proportion ng nabababa ang carrying capacity? Or hindi bababa yung carrying capacity, but bababa yung kayang i-accommodate ng any particular place?
Basta it's always
Is there a
50%.
rule of thumb?
For example,
50%.
with regard to Boracay, the carrying capacity is 19,000 a day. So it has to be half of that or even lower. I noticed naman, I'm very grateful to our tourism stakeholders. I noticed that when I talk to them, gusto rin nilang safe, slow but sure. Because magkaroon ng outbreak lang sa isang tourist spot, hindi lang yung tourist spot na yon ang masisira, kundi buong Pilipinas. So very careful sila. But of course, excited ako magka-modify GCQ and finally to revive tourism slowly but surely kasi gaya ng sinabi ko, maraming nawalan ng trabaho.
What about
What about-
international travel? Do you see ourselves opening up to tourists from abroad?
Well, right now, we're still looking at domestic tourism. But even if we open up, all the countries have their own travel restrictions. Either hindi ka pwedeng lupad sa kanila or if you go, you have to quarantine for 14 days. So it's like another way of saying, wag ka muna pumunta dito. Yes. So it's not only, so we're going to focus muna on domestic tourism, and that's what the other countries are doing. They're focusing on domestic tourism first because syempre we know our own when we flatten the curve or maybe pag bumaba na, not like right now, March 22 we already canceled all visas. Ang pwede lang pumunta dito are Filipinos, OFWs, and yung mga those working in mga let's say ADB, etc. But no tourists allowed. So you can imagine our April and May, zero revenues, zero tourists.
So
But
how
what
do
are
you
we
keep
expecting in terms of?
top of mind? I mean, how do you remind would-be tourists in the future to prioritize visiting the Philippines?
We have our attachés abroad. And you know what's so nice is that when we talk to them, we actually had this commercial, stay home, dream, and wake in the Philippines. And we showed it in all the other countries. And a lot of our tourists actually, it's so funny. We had like a mini contest to say, what do you like most about the country? So they posted it. And then they're saying we dream to go back to the Philippines. Actually, the first that's our wake up.
That's the ad.
Commercial. Yeah, the wake up ad. Stay home, dream, and wake up in the Philippines. For the first 2 weeks, because of the ECQ, what we did was we had sweeper flights for all our stranded domestic tourists.
Yes.
So we actually helped about more than 20,000 stranded. And I think we were probably the only country that had sweeper flights because, of course, we have 7,641 islands. So we had to make sure that all of them were brought to NAIA. And it was heartwarming because all the ambassadors were so grateful na we made sure na hindi namin sila iniwanan hanggang take off sila. But would you believe, marami chose to stay? We
Yeah,
were
I
already
know.
telling them,
I see them on YouTube.
meron
I
sa
see them on
El
YouTube,
Nido,
and
meron
yeah,
sa Dumaguete, meron sa Siargao. Ayaw nilang umalis. Sabi nila, bakit daw sila uuwi? Pagising nila, ang ganda-ganda daw ng view sa El Nido. So, they were given the option to leave, but ayaw nila. And then when we also had sweeper flights for the stranded domestic tourists, we also invited them again, the foreigners. Ayaw rin nila umalis.
talaga.
Oo, gusto pa rin nila dito. In fact, meron na nga silang mga blog eh. I have a lot of friends who've been watching them, yung day by day nila. And it's actually very interesting. They get to see things that I myself have never seen.
Ma'am, we're talking about, kanina you touched on some of the new normals for LGUs and for destinations. One big new normal is possibly carrying capacity, limiting the number of people who can enter. At the level of the entrepreneurs and the proprietors, particularly hotels, inns, hostels, bed and breakfast, ano yung new normal that they will have to incorporate now into their costs, into their businesses, into their protocols and operations?
Number one, di ba dati, yung Filipinos are touchy, but now hindi na pwede. Wala na yan, di ba? And then, number one, when they enter, dapat temperature, to take their temperature. Tapos, instead of giving, di ba, you get juice, calamansi juice, mango juice, now you get a face mask and a hand sanitizer. Ganun na yun. Yun na yung mga, and then, like, for example, as of now, hindi na pwede yung 5 in a room. At maximum, 2 people in a room, dapat 2 meters apart. That's according to the Department of Health. Tapos hindi na pwede, for example, sa isang banyo. Di ba, minsan maganda when you're with your girlfriends, you're all in the bathroom, hindi na pwede one at a time na. Because very, and you all have your own.
Something's happening.
Kanina yan.
You'll have your own sanitation kit. You can't share, hindi na pwede mag-share ng bathroom. Yung nakakalungkot lang nga would be everybody has to wear a face mask and physical distancing. And yun na nga when our people say hi, yung the right hand to the heart, yun na yung mabuhay natin. Hindi na pwede, wala na while there's no vaccine. But it's also nice when you hand to the heart and then mabuhay. That's it. But diba tayo Filipinos, we like to touch, we like to wala na muna yon. It's going to be a total and then syempre yung mga selfies, paano ko naman makaka-selfie na 1 meter apart? You know, in other countries it's 6 feet apart, but according to WHO it's 1 meter.
Okay.
Secretary, among the hardest hit in the tourism sector is the travel agents, no?
Yes.
Do you have any, kasi ngayon mga tao, even if travel resumes, I think most people will be going directly to the hotels, the airlines. Sila na hindi diretso eh. Are you preparing any form of assistance for
Actually,
the travel agents?
At the start, di ba, we had the camp sa Dole, but natulungan lang nun probably would be 14.5 thousand. And then we had, under the Department of Finance, the small business wage subsidy. Na for the first tranche, they were able to help the travel agents about 600 plus thousand. They were given 8,000 pesos each and equivalent to about 4.9 billion. That's for the first tranche. They will be given 2 tranches. But contrary to what you're saying, I've talked to the travel agents. A lot of the tourists are getting in touch with them kasi ayaw doon nilang nangyari yung mga independent travelers. They were left to their own. Like here in the Philippines, the DOT, kami nag-organize ng sweeper flights nila. But in other countries, it's not done. And the travel agent gives that extra care for you and will fix all your flights. In fact, marami sa mga travel agents, nagugulat nga sila, ang dami raw tumatawag. They're waiting for the Philippines to open.
Wow.
But in terms of attrition rate, marami na bang nagsara or sabihin na lang natin at least for the next 6 months, non-operational?
Well, the biggest was Marco Polo Davao. They already announced that they closed and they already gave the separation pay. And then they said that they will reopen once the economy, or there's a vaccine, or maybe there's a way to. But that was, I think, the biggest news when Marco Polo Davao closed. That was really, actually, it hit me when it was. But the hotels actually are not closed. Even when we had the ECQ, we fought that the hotels be open, and it has now become the home for healthcare workers, BPO, employees, and now OFWs. And now under the GCQ, all the businesses allowed in the GCQ can now also check in the hotels. Wala lang non-leisure. And then in other countries now, such as in Japan, they've been offering pala now, because of the quarantine, nag-aaway pala yung mag-asawa. So nagiging ganda pala ngayon yung staycation for the husband or the wife. They've been checking in the hotel para lang siguro maybe to make the marriage work. So it's quite funny. Maybe because people really are not used to being together 24/7. So that's actually, I've talked to a lot of tour operators. Yun daw yung gagawin na nila, or even the hotels. They're offering staycation for those who want a little rest from their family.
Promote a good marriage, ha? Baka mamaya magkatuluyan.
Mental health yan, mental health.
Actually, mental health, like even the moms I know, kasi di ba pumapasok yung mga anak nila. Ngayon, homeschooling. So, ang kinakwento ng mga kaibigan ko, sila na daw yung nag-tutor, sila pa nagluluto, tapos yung asawa daw nila ang dami-daming hinihingi para daw sila daw cook, chef, waiter, lahat. So they really need a break. So mukhang mga babae yata yan ang mag-aano.
Secretary, people are talking about not wasting a good crisis. What would you like to see by way of siguro support from other sectors of government, like maybe from local government units? Kasi habang ganitong pahinga yung mga tourist destinations, what would you like other agencies to do?
Actually, when you look at now, you see pictures of all the tourist spots. Di ba ang ganda-ganda? They're so beautiful right now. I've never seen Boracay this beautiful. Actually, dito lang nga sa NCR, di ba there was a picture taken from Pasig? Tapos you could see the Sierra Madre. That was how clean.
Yeah.
But it's very important that first we work with the DENR to make sure na sayang rin naman yung quarantine natin, para naman hindi na sayang, we maintain the cleanliness of the ocean, the air, etc. Diba that's why now they want bike lanes?
Yes.
They want scooter. In fact, in Intramuros, what we're going to do now is babawalan na namin talaga yung motorists. Puro mga na lang yan, bum bike na lang or grab scooter. Because we want to maintain yung clean air at least around Intramuros. That's with the DNR. With the local government unit, I really appreciate it that they are stepping up and they really want to maintain the cleanliness of their tourist spot. Hinihingi nga lang namin sa LGU, for example, mag-resume na maybe sa floor, because not naman everybody can measure what 1 meter is Or, ako, ang 1 meter ko siguro, baka hindi 1 meter ng matangkad na tao. Kasi maliit lang ako So, ang gusto lang natin yung sa floor, that's what they do in other countries. Yung may foot marker, dun ka tatayo. Para, not everybody knows what 1 meter is. So, yung mga foot markers is very important. And then, yun na nga hand sanitizer. Ang nakakatawa, in Intramuros, we have like a do-it-your-own hand sanitizer. I don't know how they did it. Kasi ayaw mo naman hinahawakan mo because maraming humahawak. People are very OC now. Like ako personally, I'm OC, pero mas OC ako ngayon. Yun. So, cleanliness, you know what's actually very good now? unlike before na people didn't really care about hygiene, now people really care about cleanliness and hygiene. You know, restaurants, it's actually voluntary to be accredited by the Department of Tourism. It's a secondary establishment. But would you believe that all the restaurants now want to be accredited by the DOT? Because it's for them like a seal of good housekeeping.
Yeah, Secretary, that reminds me, I was reading an article about a Safe Pass Express, a program that the DOT and the DTI are endorsing and getting into. Can you talk to us about that? Because it talks about, from what I understand, making it easier for
Yes.
such establishments, these establishments, to comply with the new protocols. What's Safe Pass Express?
Ang maganda sa Safe Pass, the one that made Safe Pass was the same one who made the Rapid Pass during the ECQ. Si Winston Damarillo, he's from DevCon. And so I asked his help. Ang Safe Pass, ibibigay niya for free yung Safe Pass as long as accredited by the DOT. Yung app na yon, so you get an app and you can already order before you go to the restaurant. You can see already, as if you have the menu, you can order already in advance. You can already book a time slot, what time you're going to go, kasi di ba limited na yung number of people entering. Di ba yun ang importante? And in fact, his app is already being used in Singapore and Bahrain. So he's giving it for free sa DOT accredited. So at least, kunyari, 3 to 4, alam mo lang, ganun lang ang karaming tao ang pupunta. And syempre, may mga questionnaire doon, may temperature ka ba, etc. Now, let's see, after a day, may magka-temperature after that. Makikita mo na sa time slot na yon, o 3 to 4, sino lang ang tao nandoon. So may contact tracing ka na rin. It's actually fantastic. If you could play it. And what I love about this, I asked him and he goes, I want to give it to the smaller ones, the SMEs who cannot afford. So
Actually, that's another question I wanted to ask about the SMEs. Given, as you said, yung contribution ng tourism sa GDP and sa employment, do we have some sort of a support program for the smaller players who are the majority, in fact, in the tourism sector?
We have a 58 billion fund in the PESA bill. But just yesterday, I would like to thank Senator Sani Angara for the Bayanihan Recover as One. He included 10 billion for the tourism sector for zero interest loans, or yung mga kailangan na, like for the smaller hotels na cannot afford yung thermal scanning, yung mga yun kasama na yon to help the smaller industry. At yung pag-sanitize, kasi ngayon, when you check in, di ba, I'm sure when you've checked in, minsan nakaka-check in ka na late kasi hindi pa nakakaalis yung tao. Ngayon, it has to be there 24 hours. Hindi pwede yung papasok ka, tapos kasi kailangan malinis na malinis. And so we will also give this help to those smaller hotels para maganda yung masanitize nila yung kanilang mga kwarto. Hindi na pwede yung in-out, hindi na pwede. Dapat mag-air ng 24 hours.
So one whole day in between customers?
In between muna customers para talaga yung cleaning malinis at ma-sure na lahat ma-sanitize. And in fact, that is what our customers are looking. When we made a survey, yun ang hinahanap nila, safety. They're not actually even looking at kung maganda ang sunset, maganda ang beach. Their first question is it safe for us?
Yeah, but that really brings down the number of potential customers, no? For these.
But ang maganda, it's safe.
Not only that, it brings down the number of customers. It raises costs.
The cost.
Yeah, but we're looking at it as we're going to be getting now quality tourists. Because the quality tourists,
who are those?
The higher paying ones, like the Japanese, are very, very clean. Yun ang mga gusto nila. Ayaw nila to go to a tourist spot na maraming tao. And the Japanese are high paying. We're looking at the higher paying ones, hindi yung mga pupunta lang tapos they spend $25 a day. Wag na, we want to get naman high value tourists, yung gagastos. And the high value tourists are the ones that gumagastos and it matters to them yung cleanliness and hygiene.
Okay.
So yun yung
Pero Sec, I don't know if that would that offset pa rin whatever you would lose in terms of the numbers? Kasi I suppose,
Right now,
of course, you would want the high-paying ones, pero you would still have to have some sort of balance with the low-paying ones in the numbers.
but yun na nga ang importante kasi na now until there's no vaccine, physical distancing will be normal.
So yun yung
But I mean, but Sec, how does that affect the branding? I mean, it's more fun in the Philippines. Everything is associated with adventure, lifestyle. I mean, doon sinabi niyo yung mga nagbabayad ng $25. And so I'm thinking of backpackers, the backpacking tourism sector. Tatamaan yun. Diba? And that will also affect I mean, apart from to Ed's question, how will that affect the market and the revenues? How will that also affect our branding for the Philippines?
Well, right now, it's still more fun in the Philippines because at the end of the day, it's still the people, and then the things we do it's all there. It's just it's limited because without a vaccine, hindi na talaga pwede yung masyadong crowded. And you notice, di ba, when you look at, I'm sure all of you, when you look at the picture in the internet, nakikita mo crowded, kinakabahan ka na magka-COVID. What we want now, it's fun in the Philippines, but it's safe.
So yun yung
Okay, so
strategy for
if the
physical, if you're going to take into consideration physical distancing, yun ang strategy natin for tourism ngayon. Quality over quantity, yun na yun.
Ma'am, hindi na kasi pwede ang quantity because of the physical distancing.
Yes.
Hindi na pwede yung tapos even 'di ba, kita mo usually haba-haba ng linya. Now we have to have even when we line up, we have to have physical distancing. So parang for it to work, but in anything, as I was explaining to our stakeholders, at first yung mga iba they're saying, paano kami kikita? Nako, hindi kami kikita at 50%. But you know what? Protocols are forever changing. COVID is new. We're all watching each other, what other countries are doing, the best practices. Sometimes, tinitingnan ko ngayon yung mga nagbi-beach ngayon all over the world. Tapos meron yata silang mga string para hindi magkakadikit. But I'm still watching at what they're doing. Kung hindi magka-outbreak, maybe that will work. But I noticed when we had an ASEAN Tourism Ministers meeting, we were all comparing notes. Nobody has a handbook now for what are the best practices in tourism. We're all, nangangapa kami lahat ngayon. So, maganda na nga, slow but sure. Huwag lang magka-outbreak ulit kasi sayang naman yung sinimula natin ng March ng ECQ. Tapos mawawala yun lahat dahil nagmadali tayo.
Summer tourism window has closed, right? I mean, we're getting into the rainy season. So how do you expect to get domestic tourism going in view of the season?
Well, what I look at it as, it gives us time to make sure that the destinations are all safe. Diba? Remember, we have to check all the hotels that they're safe. We have to check all the destinations. We can't do it immediately. Syempre, you have to be careful. Diba? Hindi man namamadalian yan eh. So I look at it as when the LGU say they're not ready, it just means that they want to be slow but sure, and then pag we're all okay with our protocols, then we can accept tourists. Mas maganda na yun na kasi nagmamadali tapos biglang magka-outbreak. Hindi lang ang isang tourist spot sa Pilipinas ang maa-affect, kundi buong Pilipinas.
Okay, the next week is December, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what preparations are we making to get us ready for the next tourism peak?
We're just looking first at the new normal. We're just looking at
Talagang
muna. Oo, yun na muna. You know, it was the first time I saw my parents kasi it was my late sister, she passed away. It was her birthday yesterday. It was the first time I saw my parents since March. Okay. And it was just so awkward because we were only 5 and we were 6 feet apart. Eh, di ba Filipinos, we like to celebrate. We like to be together with our families. And wala eh. And especially my dad is 86, my mom is 79. They're already in that, and my brother, since he decided to go around his district already with Mayor Vico, he decided not to visit my parents because baka siya pa daw makadala ng virus sa parents ko. Yeah. That's kind of hard now, no, for the Christmas season that's when families get together.
Yeah.
So in a way, well, Zoom. But you know what's good? We've been having online courses since April. And normally, our courses siguro by mga 2 months, we would have only accredited or given certificates to about 500 people. Now we've given certificates to 5,000 people and viewership is
Wow.
260,000. I even
Wow.
said that when we even have a vaccine, we should continue this online learning series because mas matipid and you get Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, hindi nalilipad, hindi mo napapakainin, nakakatipid and you get to, and then you notice the stakeholders from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, they compare notes sa chat. Mas interesting nga minsan yung chat than mismo the course itself.
Mm.
And it bonds them. Before kasi when we would have courses, syempre yung Metro Manila, tapos we'll go to this place. Ngayon, it's from all over the country and it's quite good that you get to teach a lot of people. And then we have like in Intramuros, you can actually go around virtual. 3D na siya.
Yeah.
And then some of our tour guides, nagkakaroon na sila ng online tour guide na. Kasi in other countries, pwede ka magbayad. Kunyari, you wanna go to Rome. You get this tour guide. Tapos may tour ka talaga. Pero ini-explain lang niya sa'yo. So, and then
Secretary,
yeah.
speaking of connecting Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, NCR right now is still the hotspot for COVID in the Philippines. Whether it's going to be domestic and or international tourism, what gateways are going to be strategic and activated to bring back domestic tourism outside of NAIA in particular?
Outside of NAIA, the ones that are open already are Clark. Ang the ones that are, a lot are still closed. But I'm actually, I thought you were going to ask, because we have 12 international airports.
Yeah, that's my question. What are the strategic airports now that you can make use of?
Right now, even under GCQ, ayaw pa ng mga LGU muna magpapasok. Gusto daw nila maghintay under modified GCQ.
GCQ.
But I actually like now the fact that I will sell the country not as a whole, but via island. We're so lucky we have 7,641 islands. So I've been talking to Governor Yap, halos 0 cases. Sabi ko, let's make a travel bubble or a travel corridor. We will sell Bohol as Bohol. So any tourist, it's an international airport, they can go to Bohol, 0 COVID. And they're going to have a COVID lab. So that actually accelerated my plan. Before kasi di ba puro NAIA lang. While we have 12 international airports. Or they can go straight to Iloilo. Hindi na nila kailangan dumaan pa. You don't have to sell the country as a whole. You can sell it na what you call travel bubbles or travel corridors.
Oh,
Ang maganda, like Bohol. So like this afternoon, I met with our Australian stakeholders, our Australian partners. I told them, you know what, di ba meron ng travel corridor, travel bubble between Australia and New Zealand? Sabi ko, why don't you look at Bohol? Bohol is COVID-free. You can go to international airport, then you can just go straight there.
Yeah.
Parang modular.
Di ba modular na? We have 12 international airports and now lang natin mawo-work out yan. You can sell, yan ang swerte natin, 7,641 islands. Now, yung mga gusto pumunta ng Palawan, pwede naman mag-land sa Clark and then Clark to Palawan. O ganun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Diba?
ma'am.
COVID. Naku, kulang. You want to invite me again?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, sure.
Always.
But we'd like to invite you in person na, no? Hindi na ito mga virtual na to. And maybe we can have it in Boracay na next time. Okay.
The travel bubble idea. It's been going around my head. And then I said, this works. It's a blessing in disguise.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Ma'am, before
Right side.
yes, ma'am. Ma'am, before we go into a gap, we'd like to say thank you to you for joining us tonight, and well, we'd like to say, we hope to see you again very soon in better times than these.
Face to face na, please.
Oo
Yes,
nga.
ma'am. We agree with you.
Thank you.
And thank you for inviting
Thank you
me.
po.
Maraming salamat po. We will have you again, certainly.
Thank you.
So don't go away. The Chiefs will be right back.
Welcome back to this special episode of The Chiefs, and we'd like to welcome our next guest, PNP Lieutenant General Guillermo Eleazar, who heads the Joint COVID Task Force, SHIELD, COVID SHIELD. But before that, we'd like to announce a breaking news. Foreign Affairs Secretary Teddy Boy Locsin has announced on social media that the Philippines has suspended the termination of the visiting forces agreement with the U.S. And the U.S. Embassy issued a statement welcoming the suspension and the continuation of the partnership. So with that, we go back to Lieutenant General Eleazar. General, welcome again to the Chiefs.
Yes.
Nakakagulat yun.
Yeah. Pwede lang. Kasama tayo.
Nagulat ko na. Okay, sorry.
Actually, ang nakakagulat doon, hindi COVID ang sinay na reason, no? Political developments. So, I wonder, anong political development in particular, no?
No,
Kasi
because
August
not
na
only
dapat
that,
yung ano eh.
Because if I'm reading the notes from our producers, this was, they said very clearly on the instruction of President Duterte,
Yes.
of course, as the chief implementer of our foreign affairs, yan ang ano. So it's very, very clear, and with the acknowledgement of the U.S. Embassy, it's very, very official.
Yes.
So nagbago po ang isip ni Presidente Duterte, and the U.S. Embassy is welcoming it. So back to General Eleazar and the
Are you welcoming it?
Sir, may kinalaman kayo doon?
and the second day of the implementation of General Community Quarantine. General, kumusta po? Day 2. Kumusta po ang ating enforcement of quarantine?
Well, so far, so good. Generally, wala naman po mga untoward incident tayong natanggap, except, yun nga, nagkaroon ng mga stranded nating mga kababayan dahil sa kakulangan sa transportation. And we keep on monitoring, and just like what we have said earlier, we went to the modified implementation of our checkpoint operation dahil ayaw naman natin na makapagdagdag pa sa traffic. Kaya nga ang ginawa natin, kung mapansin nyo, ang ating mga checkpoint ngayon ay random checking lang ginagawa. Hindi na lahat iniisay sa lahat ng dumadaan. And I believe that nakatulong ito para hindi lalong madagdagan ang traffic na nararamdaman natin dahil nga sa maraming sasakyan nakita natin starting yesterday until today, and we are expecting na itong mga susunod pang araw, lalo na kung babalik na ang ating mga public transportation, ating mga lansangan, makikita natin na talagang magkakaroon na ng pagsikip ng daloy ng trapiko.
Sir,
May mga
ang
na-arresto pa
crime
rin
rate,
ba?
tumaas ba?
Ah,
Tumaas ba ang crime rate? Kasi dati on a daily basis, sabi nyo, bumaba. So, on day 2 of GCQ, how's our crime rate?
Well, hindi pa natin nakikita kasi probably may mga late reporting pa. Pero so far, dun sa ating past 7 days, ang binaba nitong crime natin compared with the 7 days before the ECQ or community quarantine natin, 58%. Kung makita natin, the other day, 59, ngayon 58. Dahil siyempre, sa pagbubukas ng economy, makikita natin na bahagyang tumataas siya. If you get the average, daily average of crime, during the implementation of modified ECQ, medyo mataas siya ng konti kumpara doon sa ECQ tayo or GCQ sa ibang lugar. Dahil nga, it is logical because of the
Yes.
economic activity na
Right.
bumabalik at the same time itong mga kababayan natin na naglalabasan na ulit.
Yeah. How has been the drug situation since the ECQ?
Well, nag-quarantine din ng most of the drug users and drug pushers. Kaya nakita naman natin na may substantial decrease ng operation natin dahil walang masyado rin silang transaction. Pero meron pa rin ibang talaga na nag-a-attempt. And ang atin namang mga kapulisan in all the regions of the PNP are continuously conducting our anti-illegal drugs operation. And meron tayo malalaking operations against them, including na rin yung mga maliit na operation. But basically, talagang bumaba siya. Expected naman natin yun. But now with the opening of the economy, makikita natin na pwede makipagsabayan naman yan. That is why the directive of our Chief PNP Police General Archie Gamboa is for us to conduct monitoring and the case bill of operation dun sa mga dating grupo na ating minomonitor so that once and for all, talagang maituloy natin itong ating campaign against illegal drugs.
Sir, ang sinasabi nilang tumaas ang incidents ay yung mga pornography-related crimes, no? Especially online. Ano pong ginagawa niyo ron? Is that something that the PNP had to specially address in this very extraordinary time?
We have expected na pwede magtaas doon kasi nga nasa bahay lang, at the same time lahat ay nasa computer, through the internet, and that is why the leadership of the PNP has instructed our PNP anti-cybercrime group to address this situation. And nakita naman natin na marami talaga operations na isinagawa ang ating ACG with its regional offices and provincial offices nationwide. And in coordination with NBI, we are pursuing the leads of other information that we obtained, including this, information coming from our counterparts from abroad. Kasi usually, ang mga customers nito, mga foreigners
Yes.
lang
Right.
victimized, mismong mga magulang ang siyang
Na bata.
rate at itong kanilang mga anak. You know, I was then the director of anti-cybercrime group before I was assigned as a district director of QCPD. At
Right.
with my 6 months stint in ACG, talaga nakita natin itong mga online sexual crimes na dito talaga sa Pilipinas dahil nga sa hindi man napakaganda ng internet natin, pero pwede naman at the same time English speaking, and dahil siguro din sa, we can say, poverty. So itong ating mga kababayan, particularly itong mga parents, yung kanilang mga anak ay naging bahagi para makonsenti itong particular crime na ito.
Let's talk about the travel permit, sir. Papayagan na ba ang papayagan na ba ang tao to travel now that we're on GCQ across borders?
Well, basically, still the authorized person outside residence or basically the workers, ito mga authorized workers, sila lang ang allowed na mag-cross ng border, just showing their identification na employed sila on these permitted industries. And pero now that we have transitioned from ECQ to MECQ and now GCQ, nagkaroon ng kaunting kaluwagan. That is why our SILG Secretary Ed Anyo gave guidance na within NCR or within the different provinces, pwede na mag-travel ang ating mga kababayan for indispensable travels relating to medical and family emergencies. Parang kagaya na rin sila ng locally stranded individual. Before, nung tayo ay nasa MECQ pa, itong mga locally stranded individuals, even if they will travel from one municipality to another municipality within the province, kailangan pa ng travel authority. Pero ngayon, itong mga LSI na tinatawag natin or itong ibang for emergency reason, within the province, basta hindi sila magko-cross or lalabas ng probinsya or within NCR, as long as hindi lalabas ng NCR, hindi na kailangan ang travel authority.
Pero
But
pag stranded, sir, stranded from, say,
yeah, the same
Baguio,
thing.
tapos
Yeah,
pauwi.
yeah, the same thing. Yeah. So yung kung ikaw ay stranded or we call it locally stranded individuals, kung ang pupuntahan mo is within the province, hindi na po kailangan yun. But if
Hindi,
you will
parang
go
pag
out
iba.
of the province, then you have to get the travel authority. At
Okay.
ang ginawa din natin dyan is para mapadali kasi nga most of the complaint or reports that we receive is matagal makapag-issue ng travel authority. Well, kasi nag-start kasi ito on getting the medical clearance certificate na na-explain natin na last Friday na this is being issued by the LGU Health Office as endorsed or assisted by the barangay official kasi kailangan na ma-bounce na nag-quarantine at least 14 days yan na walang nag-develop na symptoms ng COVID-19. So yun ang maging basis for the issuance of that medical certificate. And that medical certificate, dadalhin to ngayon sa help desk ng police station malapit na magpo-process ngayon nitong travel authority. Ngayon, ang ginawa na po natin ngayon, kung since wala namang travel authority na for LSI and indispensable travel within the province, kung lalabas ka ng probinsya but within the same region, the chief of police na mag-i-issue ng travel authority. So,
Yeah.
at kung lalabas ka ngayon ng region, kung outside the region, it will be the provincial director in the case of the provinces or the district director in the case of NCR ang mag-i-issue na. So,
Okay.
parang binaba natin, dinelegate
Yeah.
na natin yung authorities na itong issuance of travel authority to make it simplified. But I would like to add also na for this travel authority, we have to inform the LGU of destination na merong LSI na intending na pumunta doon. That is for courtesy of them and magkaroon ng preparation. Kasi alam niyo pagdating doon haharangin din sila. Kaya might as well alam nila so that they can prepare. They cannot deny the entry of these individuals but they could request for delay kung sakaling hundreds of them are already being quarantined. Kasi may kanya-kanyang protocol kasi hindi mo sila masisisi na pagdating doon, pwedeng depende sa kanilang assessment sa'yo. Pwedeng home quarantine ka lang or pwede namang ilagay ka sa barangay quarantine or municipal quarantine as the case may be.
Pero police,
General, iba naman po lang, if you don't mind, I'd want to go back to the question of crime, peace and order. In particular, I'm curious about your thoughts about the anti-terror bill. Kanina po nabanggit nyo that under ECQ, GCQ, MECQ, index crimes at least have gone down, bumaba talaga ang crime. I'm curious from the perspective po of the police and of people high up in the national security ecosystem of the country. Meron po bang indications that habang bumababa ang index crimes, tumataas ang indicators natin for so-called terror and terrorism-related crimes? What is the basis for, and is there in fact basis that you've monitored? And what are those indicators that would give the sense of urgency to our legislators and policymakers to pass an anti-terror bill?
Well, even before, this is not only the problem of the Philippines kasi interconnected na yun. Terrorism is a worldwide crime and we have our intelligence units with the intelligence community that are monitoring this situation. And even itong ating situation na pandemic tayo, meron tayong nare-receive na information and nag-iintay lang ng tamang pagkakataon. So, this terror bill is this is a welcome development for the law enforcement. Maaring iba ang pagtingin ng ibang ating mga kababayan, but dumaan ito sa scrutiny from our lawmakers and knowing them, talagang they see to it na appropriate measures and safeguards ay naandyan at hindi naman makakapasa yan kung it will abuse the authorities will abuse this particular power that will be given to them. So, lagi pong merong katapat na safeguard dyan. And we know, hindi lang natin na-realize sa ngayon, pero wag natin kalimutan what happened to other places. in Mindanao and also from in other countries. Kung ano nangyari doon, hindi dapat nating intayin na mangyari pa yun sa atin bago tayo mag-isip na dapat nagkaroon na tayo ng ganitong batas. And from the
Pero
point of
General,
yes,
but
go ahead.
General, is it really necessary for authorities to have 14 days leeway for warrantless arrest? Kasi I understand right now it's three days ata. The person can be held without an arrest warrant. But with the new proposal, up to 14 days plus 10. That's quite a lot of.
Yeah.
That's quite a
Yeah.
number of days. That's 3 weeks. Somebody can be held without
You
a
can
warrant of
detain.
arrest just
Yeah.
because of suspicion of terrorism.
Well, just like what I've said, kasi po, iba po yung terrorism. It's different from other crimes that we have experienced and we have in our country. And just like what I've said earlier, ito po naman bago maipasa dyan, dumaan na sa butas ng karayom sa ating mga lawmakers. And I believe that based on the inputs coming from the experience of other countries, ito po naging basihan for the lawmakers na to be convinced na kailangan gawin ito. But of course, with necessary safeguard para hindi ito maabuso.
So do you think that the 24 days is I mean, actually it's too long when you're talking about detention. The question for people like you who are in charge of gathering the evidence necessary to file the proper case, isn't that a bit too long?
Well, actually, iba po kasi ang sitwasyon na kinakaharap when it comes to terrorism. And just like what I've said, pwede tayong magtalo dito na matagalan, but at the end of the day, yung po mga lawmakers natin naman, talaga po sila pinag-aralan nila lahat yan. And they are convinced since naandito na yan, talaga pong may naging basihan. And just like what I've said, may corresponding safeguard measure para ito ay hindi abusuhin.
But sir, doon lang po sa question ng abusuhin. When I proposed anti-terror council is essentially empowered to take on what used to be the role of a safeguard, which is the courts. Isn't that in fact taking away a safeguard rather than adding safeguards to civil rights?
Well, you can say that, but you know what we're trying to prevent here is catastrophic incident na pag dumating yun, saka pa natin pagsisisihan. So kaya nga sinasabi natin dito, in a free country na kinukonsider itong pros and cons. So at meron naman tayo mga lawmakers na siyang nag-aaral lahat na ito. Maaaring nasa magkaiba lang side tayo, but in our case that we are the ones who are trying to protect the people, we believe that it is needed. And with the lawmakers na considering this, it's good for everybody and for us to be able to protect even more the country that we serve.
Okay.
Well, I think, sir, I think everybody agrees naman on the need to fight terrorism. I suppose sometimes the divergence lang comes from the idea of some people na there might be some abuses along the way. Just to give you an example, sir. I mean, just an example. Nung May 14, a salesman was arrested by the police in Surigao City, allegedly for cyber libel against the president and Senator Bongo. But the president and Senator Bongo never filed a complaint, but the police picked up the man just because the man in social media called the president and Bongo GAGO. And on that basis, the police jumped in and hold him to the precinct and filed cyber libel against him, even without a complainant. And libel is supposed to be a personal complaint. And so gumulong po yung kaso, and that's where it is now. So may mga ganong pangamba po. I suppose you know about this because you are Deputy Chief for Operations. Pero yun po, these are things that come to mind to a lot of people na yes, there are needs for certain laws, but there are also needs for certain safeguards.
Well, merong mga ganong, in that particular case, yan naman is inimbestigahan. At the same time, meron din siyang lawyer, and we have the DOJ who eventually gave their decision or disposition regarding that case. So in any particular case, just in case na dumating man tayo na maipasa na at effective na yung batas na yan, so correspondingly, andun pa rin naman yung karapatan ng bawat isa para depensahan siya. And just like what I've said, I believe that if the lawmakers will be convinced that it will be passed, then that's it. They were elected by the people to to craft the laws that will be implemented by law enforcers just like us. So sa amin po, kung ano po maipasa nila, ayan po ang aming pagbabasihan para sa pagpatupad ng aming tungkulin.
Yes, sir. Well, that is also correct. Unfortunately, it's up to Congress. Pero sir, maraming salamat po for joining us and thank you po for your insights and thank you for your efforts dun sa COVID-19 Task Force Shield. Maraming salamat po, General Guillermo Elazar. Yes, sir.
Opo. Kasi, di ba pinag-usapan natin itong mga travel authority na pwede na within NCR na mag-travel or pag nasa probinsya ka. Ito po yung sinasabi natin, this is for indispensable travel relating to medical and family emergencies. Pero kung ito ay nalabas lang para bumili ng pagkain at iba pang kagamitan na binebenta na, hindi po dapat kayo mag-cross ng inyong cities or municipalities. Nililinaw po natin yun. Hindi po kayo lalabas para mamasyal o pumunta po sa mga kamag-anak nyo na hindi nyo nakita for some time or mamimili ng mga gamit. Hindi po yun. Yung sinasabi na pwede ka mag-travel within Metro Manila kung yun po ay for indispensable travel or kayo po ay locally started individuals. But for other things or intention, hindi po rin po kayo palalampasin kung meron tayong mga random checkpoint na isasagawa along the way.
Yes, sir. And point duly noted po. Parang domestic tourism nga naman yun. No? Leisure travel. Maraming salamat.
Pero si Secretary Berna, dinalaw yung parents niya.
Alam niyo po minsan kasi, kaya po sinasabi natin na indispensable well travel for family emergencies. Baka po syempre may edad na naman gusto makita na. Well, in a way, it is within Metro Manila but just like what I've said, at the end of the day, ang ating pong pairalin, sentido común o common sense. Just stay at home kung wala po tayong importanteng gagawin.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Maraming salamat po. General Guillermo Elazar, thank you again for joining us and we hope to have you again.
Salamat po.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Salamat po. Magandang gabi po.
And that will be all for this edition of The Cheese. We hope what was discussed here will keep the conversation going. I'm Ed Linga of One News.
I'm Ami Pamintuan of the Philippine Star.
I'm Lucy Cruz Valdez of News 5.
I'm Robbie Alampay and we are One News.